kind of PILs that you plan to do. When you finish this meeting and you go back to your states, I want you to make a plan of action for PILs. And on the last day, we will have a set where we will hear from you the kind of PILs that you want to do. Some of you who are practicing in the trial courts will think PILs are very difficult to do. But PILs are not difficult to do if you take a good PIL. A trial in the criminal courts is incredibly more difficult. It's 10 times more difficult than doing a PIL. I want you to know that. But many lawyers feel that because the PIL is done in the High Court, and High Court cases are obviously more complicated, they think, so they feel that even though they are very good lawyers in the labor court, trial court, family court, consumer court, they feel inferior. That no, this is High Court work, this is for the High Court lawyer only, and we don't know how to do PILs. I want to very quickly tell you the simple steps of doing a PIL. And you can think of it in any circumstance. जैसे सोनी ने आपको बताया कि मुलाकात सिस्टम जो है, some speakers told us yesterday also, shouting through the net. Anything you can do, torture in prisons, death in prisons, a PIL is possible. Handcuffing, the example given today, despite many Shukla's case, that handcuffing is illegal, handcuffing is going on. And in Bombay, what we did was we took a photograph just outside the trial courts. We took a photograph of people being tied with ropes and brought to the court, and that was the basis of our PIL. Prison wages, all kinds of things, right? Now, how is the PIL to be done? Before I begin, I want to say, CHRI persons who spoke yesterday gave you in-depth exposure to the academic and research work that they have done. PILs generally are very difficult to do unless you do a little bit of research. And CHRI has been a pathbreaker in doing research work on prisons. So my first piece of advice is, you please trouble all the CHRI people that you meet. You must collect all their documents. You must go to their website and see the range of academic work that they have done. And in your own way, in your own states, you must try and collect information on prisons. Now we are talking about prisons, but it can be on anything. And the talk that I am going to give you now is broader than just prisons. Anyone can file a PIL that everybody knows. Any lawyer, any professor, any person having some standing in society. You don't need standing actually, you can even be a student. You don't need any standing, but you should not be a person who has done some wrong things in the past, so then the government will show that this person is doing this, that, and the other first. Second is, for a PIL, you must collect your information carefully. Right? Don't take a newspaper clipping, stick it, and go in a PIL. Please don't do that, because the judge is definitely going to ask you, have you been to the area? Suppose it is a lynching case. Suppose it is a starvation death case. You read in the paper something and you put it in your PIL and you went. Never do a thing like that, because the judge is 100% going to ask you, have you been to the area? Have you met the family? Have you met the victim's kith and kin? And if you say no, sir, he will immediately dismiss your case. You must go and do the investigation yourself. One thing that I commonly see is that people are worried about proof. I don't have proof. By which they mean they don't have documentary proof. Right? So suppose a person is, let's say, So let's suppose a woman is molested, or whatever incident happens, where there is no documentary evidence, no video and so on. Very many people feel they don't have proof. Please remember, the statement of the person who has suffered on affidavit is evidence. The judge may do further inquiry, right? But so many cases I have seen where people have not gone to courts because they tell us they didn't have proof. Now, like a rape case, suppose you have a rape case where there are no witnesses, there's no, let's say, medical evidence available. Let us suppose there's no vaginal tear, there's no bleeding, there's no medical legal record, rape has taken place. So many times, people say, हमारे पास कोई सबूत नहीं है. सबूत मतलब कुछ वीडियो, कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट, कुछ पेपर रिकॉर्डिंग. And so the important thing to remember, don't hesitate merely because you don't have documentary evidence. If the story is correct, put the victim's story on affidavit and go to the Supreme Court or the High Court, and the High Court may direct some investigation to be done. Right? A clear testimony of a rape victim. What does the Supreme Court say? Corroboration not necessary. What does the Supreme Court say? Medical evidence also not necessary if it is not available. Can you imagine even medical evidence? No corroboration, no medical evidence. And yet convictions happen. Why? What is the standard? The clear and unflinching and unbroken testimony of the prosecutors. Can you imagine? That is evidence. First she gives you an affidavit. When she files the petition, she will give you an affidavit. And then she will be cross-examined. The trial, when it goes to the trial court, she will be cross-examined. And if her evidence is clear, convincing, unshaken, even after cross-examining, you get conviction. So this proof thing must be cleared up, right? So PILs are what? What are the PILs? So simple to draft. If you have a good client, so simple to draft. Take his case from Kashmir of pellet guns. They fired, went into the eye of the children. Some of them died, some of them turned blind. Suppose a case like this comes to you, you ask the parent to sit in front of you. Sir, what happened? And he will tell you in half an hour. सुबह इतने बजे थे, हम लोग घर जा रहे थे, फिर ये है दूध खरीदने गए वगैरह वगैरह, अचानक से वहां से फायरिंग हुआ. He give you the thing in half an hour. Can you do a PI? So simple. You've got the story, you've got the photograph of the child, you've got the medical records, right? How will you draft the PL? I'll take this one example of the pellet gun. How will you draft the PL? First of all, name of the petitioner. Right? The cause title will be name of the petitioner versus date of JNK. Simple, no? Don't need 200 respondents, not necessary in matters like this. Simplicity, straightforwardness is the key. Right? First paragraph, you will explain who the petitioner is. The petitioner is father of the child. Because judges want to know who is the petitioner. Is it some person who's roaming around generally doing 100 PIS, or is he a serious person? And if you are a law student, you have the best standing. Judges are very interested in law students doing PIS. Because many of their children are also doing law. They give you a lot of respect. You get good respect in the course. Even in Supreme Courts I've seen, you get very good respect as law students. Right? So I'm a law student, I'm a law teacher, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, etc., etc. Explain who you are. That's all. Judge only wants to immediately turn, or she'll immediately turn to that first paragraph. Okay, first paragraph, simple. Second paragraph to 10th paragraph are the facts of the case, given date-wise. On so-and-so date this happened, and so-and-so date that happened, and on this day there was some disturbance in Jammu, in Kashmir. Then on this day we were going to the market, we were going to buy some milk. He bought the milk, he turned around, suddenly my child fell to the ground. And I carried him home, I took him to the hospital, this is the hospital record. Right? So second paragraph onwards, as many paragraphs as you put, हकीकतें बताओ. Chronological order में हकीकतें सिर्फ लिखो. अगर आपके पास कुछ प्रेस रिपोर्ट है, और प्रेस रिपोर्ट लगाओ. अभी मैं am talking broader than this Haryana case. Okay? If you have press reports, you put it. But always remember, like I said and I'll repeat, never make a PIL or press report litigation. No. Go to the family. It's okay. You heard lynching on TV. You saw killing of a Dalit or Muslim on TV. Go to the house, meet the family, take the interview, then call the interview. Right? So you got all the details. Also remember, if you get the victim to be a petitioner, that will be the best. But in many cases, people are frightened to be petitioners. Many cases. So no problem. But if you get the victim's family to be a petitioner, that's the best. So now you've done the sequence of events, you've got all the details, you've got all the facts. Then, suppose it is a starvation death case. If there are any research papers, some research reports, Right to Food campaign has published some fact findings, you please put all the annexures. अगर है आपके पास annexures, कुछ documentary है, annexures, कुछ newspaper में report लिखा, कुछ research paper है, कुछ NGO का fact finding report है, वो सारे लगाओ, okay? So first part is who is the petitioner. Second part is what are the facts. Simple. अभी कानून बताना जरूरी नहीं जैसा आपको. इंडिया का ये विशेषता है, unlike America and Europe, you have to plead law. This judgment. लेकिन India we are so familiar. Article 21 right to life, the judge is not interested in you. अगर आप ये भी देखोगे, if you don't plead also in a constitutional case, you don't plead Article 21, the foreigners get very surprised. You have to plead to pleading here, Supreme Court is not necessary. Judges only want to know the facts. That is why in a PIL, role of lawyer can be brought down to zero. And if you are a fiery social activist, you can replace your lawyer easily. Little tricks you must know, little not tricks, but little techniques you must know. But the role of the lawyer is minimum. Unfortunately, we make the role of the lawyer 100%. The role of the lawyer is minimum in public interest cases. So you finish the second part, आपने सब हकीकत बताया, सब document annex कर दिया. And what is the third part? There are only 3 parts to PIL. Third part में आपका demand क्या है? इसका demand. हमें compensation चाहिए, हमें इसका prosecution चाहिए, हमें CBI investigation चाहिए. That is it. It's so simple. It is so simple, people confuse and complicate, but it is so simple. Demand क्या है? And only thing is, you must be able to state your demand clearly. No confusion. क्या? लोग generally क्या करते हैं, दूसरे क्या करते हैं? Demand लिखते समय argument भी लिखेगा उसमें. Yeah, I want compensation because when this happened, that happened, फिर ऐसा हो गया, वैसा हो गया. तो पहले clause में demand भी आ गया, लेकिन argument भी हो गया. Argument अंदर करते. In the body of the petition, you put your argument. Prayer must be very clearly giving compensation one crore. And one point I want to make: please don't ask for old-fashioned compensation. Pre-globalization period, look at that globalization period, international standards. So we will globalize our human rights also, global standards of human rights. So no, in killing abroad you will get 1 crore, 2 crores. Why should you go for 5 lakhs? People even today are asking 5 lakh compensation, 10 lakh compensation. You ask boldly. And when the judge asks you how can you do this, we will give you case law also. Case law from Inter-American Commission, Inter-American Court in Latin America, case law from some other countries. How they give compensation. And sir say why? 20 years ago we gave 5 lakhs. 20 years. Now we are in globalized speed again we are giving 5 lakhs. You saw no rate compensation. 3 lakhs. 3 lakhs. Rate compensation. What? Why not 30 lakhs? Why not 3 crores? Like a Nirbhaya case, why should you not? You know, to the family, crores of compensation. So, what is your demand? You should be able to state. What is in your heart? You put on the paper. कि हमें ये चाहिए, हमें इन्वेस्टिगेशन को भर्ती करना चाहिए, स्टेट पुलिस को हटा के सीबीआई लगाओ. No problem. And if you forgot something, you can add. No problem again. No tension. आपने ये बोलना भूल गया, ये ब्रांड नहीं लगा, वो ब्रांड नहीं लगा, आप आराम से अमेंडमेंट एप्लीकेशन कर दो. So PI is very simple. Little research work you must do. Little study you must do. Go on the internet, talk to some friends, talk to NGOs, and you make your paper problem. Little study you must do. But there are some cases I know when I told them to do little study, then after 1 year they came back. तो मैं क्या हो गया? This paper गायब हो गया. मैंने सर आपको रिसर्च करने का था, तो एप्रिल 30 से ऐसा शुरू कर दिया और एंटी नहीं हुआ उसका रिसर्च. That's why I'm very scared to tell class research. बोला रिसर्च करो लेकिन 1 महीने के अंदर वापस आ जाओ प्लीज. अब अदर रिसर्च इज enough हो गया. We don't want so much research and they forget why they are researching. That was what happened. So this is PIL. How cheap is it? In many high courts, it is 100, 200 rupees, 300 rupees, 500 rupees. Very cheap. So very cheap. Many high courts, you find PIL today, like Delhi High Court, I find today it will come tomorrow. Very fast. Sometimes it takes a long time. I don't want to exaggerate also. But the chance is there that it is cheap. Main cost is the cost of typing and all that stuff. So these are the essential features, some of the essential features of PIL. In the prisons, you can do so much work. You hear of people dying in prison, that the session is now starting after the dying in prisons. How can a person die? Why should there not be CBI investigation? There's case law on that now. Person dies in custody, CBI investigation. None of the cases in Delhi where people died in prison are gone for an investigation. All faltu investigations cover up. In some of the homes of children, people died in winter, they froze to death because they were not given clothes and blankets. So you go boldly in the prison cases, torture in prison. If some wife of a prisoner comes to you and says, "Sir, मेरे husband को पूरी तरह से मारा, जब मैं गया मिलने के लिए उसका पूरा जख्मी दिखाई दे रहा, all the injuries I could see." File the case. If you can get a photo, get a photo. If photo is not possible, file the case. So be bold. I want to end by saying be very bold on public interest litigation. And tomorrow in the evening, I want all of you to think. And tomorrow in the evening there will be a session. You please say, I am so-and-so person, I am social activist, I am lawyer, I am from so-and-so state. I want to do a PIL on this issue. So we will note down, we will take it plan of action. And from our side, and from CHRI's side, and from Ajay's side, Ajay is one of the main persons who will coordinate. He's done some fantastic work in the High Court, and we would like, if you would take the responsibility along with our colleagues, please coordinate Ajay, the kind of work that they will come up with. So give us plan of action. And then you get stuck. After confidence थोड़ा कम हो गया, meeting से निकलने के बाद, we will keep it. If necessary, we will come and see you. Otherwise, we will talk to you on the phone. We will exchange emails and we will help you draft your petition. And our greatest joy will be when the petition is argued by a social activist. Greatest joy. Because they will argue with great conviction. They will argue with solid, कभी-कभी क्या वकीलों का ऐसा है. They think we are the best. But after that we don't understand. But every social activist think that you will understand more than us. Actually, it's not that way. Actually, it is ulta. Social activist understands, and she is struggling to make the lawyer understand. उसको ब्रीफिंग करना पड़ता है, फिर before the case is forgotten, दोबारा ब्रीफिंग करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि दिल में नहीं है ना. अगर दिल में नहीं है तो बोलना भी मुश्किल है, तो बार-बार उसका काम में दबाना पड़ता है कि क्या है, क्या लॉजिक है, क्या फीलिंग होता है. Greatest joy if the social activists do the cases. Stand in court, बोल नहीं देते जज, ऐसी बात है. These are the documents, these are the facts, this is my prayer, this is the judgment. And they can help you on that. HRLN, IBJ, all of us can help you in many judgments easily. Say, sir, I'm doing a case on wages, any judges, judgments, they give you judgments to all. No problem. Okay? So we'll make a plan of action and we'll try and stick to that plan of action. And I hope this meeting encourages from this group at least 25 parents in this country. 25. Out of which I think safely at least about 20 can be done in the High Courts. Which means different people can take up different parents. Okay. Thank you very much. We've run out of time, but
it is systematically adopted, resorted to by many governments, and in fact, about 6 or 7 decades back, torture meant custodial settings or physical violence, but today there is an expanded understanding of the notion of torture, and the treaty bodies which monitor the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or the Convention on Torture, or the work of the European Court of Human Rights has expanded the understanding of the torture to include many conditions. In fact, it's just not physical violence alone in a custodial setting, but also mental part, that is like some threatening somebody with some grave injury to a loved or relative, that amounts to really mental torture. It includes both physical and mental. And so today, if you see, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, there is a mention about the prohibition of torture, cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment or punishment. And in the same covenant, there is a mention about how prisoners have to be treated humanely with respect to their inherent human dignity. And the Human Rights Committee, which monitors the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, specifically held about the conditions of detention. And in a number of cases, they said overcrowding or putting somebody in a cell without natural light, or let's say insanitary conditions, lack of provision of medical attention, and many such conditions of detention have been held to violate the article on torture. And similarly, you all are aware of the death row phenomenon, how people who are sentenced to death punishment keep waiting for final execution. And even the death row phenomenon, or under the conditions under which death sentence is imposed, is also regarded as a violation of the right to be free from torture. Now I request Suresh Kumar to give his remarks.
As lawyer used to, whenever you want to speak, we have to stand up. You can't speak sitting. That been our practice, so I'd like to stand and speak. Friends, torture as just now explained motivated. It has been, it is not defined in any law, in Indian laws. But the broad meaning of torture is, it's an act by a human being and another human being to impose the will of the strong and the weak as an instrument, making it to suffer. The broader meaning, say. So, from that perspective, if you look at, we can see torture is how it is prevalent in our system, particularly in the custody. Custody meaning, we all know custody. Custody is custody of any authority, police custody, or when it is produced before the court, it amounts to judicial custody. But most of the cases, torture takes place in the illegal detention, illegal custody. So, a lawyer's duty also starts in this case of custodial torture. Whenever any person is taken into custody but not produced, then he is illegally detained. So, as a lawyer, many of you are here, lawyers are also knows very well that we used to file habeas corpus petitions in the courts to bring him to the legal custody or to set him free. Because why I'm saying this is, in most of my experience, whenever we file habeas corpus petition, invariably that case will be closed when the police side they file a counter saying that he is involved in so case. We arrested a day before, despite of our allegations before the High Court saying that he has been taken into custody for a long time, he has been in the illegal detention. But when you want to fix the responsibility on the persons who are taken into illegal detention or who are subjected to torture, that in habeas corpus is highly difficult. In very few cases we got some orders, but in most of the cases, particularly nowadays, because I have seen the case when we file habeas corpus petitions, immediately it will be taken up, and if we come before the court on our allegations, the court used to look into those aspects also with regard to our allegations of illegal detention or the torture, whatever we need. Because in our petitions, we used to make a prayer not only for making them to be produced before the court of law or setting him free, but also to record the statement of the detainee and to send him to medical examination is also what we used to pray. But nowadays there has been high courts mostly, in my experience, are not entertaining those things. They are saying that if you have any grievance still, when they are accused before the court, go to the court and before the lower court you can have your relief. So courts are not entertaining high courts. More probably, even the high court earlier used to post these matters when we file the habeas corpus petition immediately after 2 days. If that person is detained in the local area, if it is from a distance area, 1 week time will be given. But nowadays, wherever he may be detained by whatever police, it will be posted after 1 week, only giving time for the police to come up with the statement that counter saying that they has been produced. So, habeas corpus which we used to file and give justice to them has been now reduced as making illegal detention as a legal detention and giving time for the police to do the paper. Is not as far as habeas corpus petition high courts are concerned. And you know very well, as just now we have discussed about the bill cases also. In most of the torture cases, very rarely they come up to court to challenge their drama or the tortures incident happened to them. Very few cases come, and among the very few cases also, evidence is almost evidence is very impossible to get. But wherever evidence is there, we are filing these cases as lawyers. If evidence is available and the person who comes forward is able to stand up fight for the case, they are filing the lower courts than in High Court, because High Court is a court where law know very well that it could only give an order for inquiry. In High Court, if no one is coming forward and we still know that it is a case of torture which has to be inquired into, as activists, because I've been an activist in civil liberties movement, we find many cases in the High Courts also, by way of appeal, just we have discussed. So these are the ways how we are making the legal forum to take these cases and legally to take it to its logical end. But in most of the cases, almost our effort is to see that getting the case registered as a criminal case is itself a big success. I can say this by giving the examples from my experience, whatever I am having. I will present before you case by case. In one of the infamous cases that is very well known across the country also, there was a series of blasts in Hyderabad during 2007. After Makkah Masjid blast, 4 months after that, in the month of August, 2 more blasts took place in Hyderabad, in Lumbini Park and the Gokul Chowk Center. So after that, there were a series of arrests of youth, particularly belonging to Muslim youth persons, and they were taken to illegal custody. They were tortured like anything, and we have filed a habeas corpus petitions for their release or to produce them in the courts. And when they were produced before the court, we found that tortures, many of their body was put to torture, private parts are electric shocks are given, and their souls are tortured like anything. And so such incidents, when we want to get them registered, there are two things which we, because evidence is very difficult to get. So what we used to do is, before approaching the High Court, we file cases before SHRC, State Human Rights Commission. Now that SHRC has will give justice as deserved, but it is, we can make out some case there, because the police will file their counter, without counter, without version. With both of the versions, we used to go and file cases before High Court, and in these cases, have made some efforts in the habeas corpus petitions. I filed an NP also. Very rarely, mysterious petitions will be filed in NP, seeking the court to permit us to take the version of the victims. So what has happened in the legal petitions? And naturally, to do that, we have to take the permission of the court, unless because they are in jail, we cannot take their statements. So, after taking their statements and bringing them to court of law, these versions, then still the court says in these cases that this court, being a high court, cannot decide all these matters. You have to file a private complaint or you establish this. But because that has been a very big incident in Hyderabad, many of the Muslim youth people were arrested and tortured. Many other authorities also. Muslim Minorities Commission is also moved, and they have appointed a one-man commission as an advocate who went into the jail and taken the statements, everything, by meeting all these 32 youth who were tortured by the police. So after, with this material, and even not only rights organizations, other mass organizations also moved on that, particularly the minority organizations. And National Minority Commission has also come down and conducted their own inquiry. And with all these reports, we filed a petition before High Court, which has given a compensation to them of 3 lakh rupees. But here, our way is not only compensation, but to prosecute the policemen who are the mindset of Hindu mindset, torture these Muslim youth. And finally, no one of these 32 people were shown as in any blast case, but they are shown arrested only in a conspiracy case. But before that, in media, so much of coverage is given that as if these are the persons who are responsible for the blast and these are the dreaded terrorists. This kind of media trial took place and their lives have been damaged because these are very people from very small background. They lost their jobs. Some of them who got marriage visa, they lost that marriage alliance also, and some of them are unable to stay in their mahallas. So in that way, they have the torture is not only physical; it extends to in many ways also. For which ultimately we played before the High Court, and High Court has granted clear compensation for it. But now the interesting part of that is still our case is pending for prosecution, and some other VHP organization leader has filed another petition saying that these are the people who are involved in terror linked cases. So how the exchequer money will be given to them? So let there be a stay order and cancel this compensation given and that day. Petition is also at the time without giving any notice either to these boys for whom the compensation is given or to the organizations which are also involved. So now a stay is given on that, and that is still that case is pending like that. And that is one case, and apart from this, in torture is, as now we have discussed, not only it is a physical torture, particularly as far as women is concerned, the torture is the sexual abuse is also taken place in one of the case where Watervalli, a small hamlet of a tribal hamlet in Visakhapatnam agency area, where 11 tribal women were gang raped by the task force police, and on that, really all the other on that incident, when it came up in newspapers, there was a huge outcry on that. Many organizations are pushing it, and writ petition is also filed in High Court, and SHRC is moved, and the government is also appointed a CBCD inquiry. So multiple institutions and investigative agencies are involved in it, and finally they came up with a report saying that the rape is not taken place, or sufficient evidence is not there. So taking all this into consideration, High Court surprisingly said that we are unable to come to any conclusion that that is why we are closing the case. This is very unusual. High Court has closed such a case, not giving any verdict. High Court can say that we don't believe the version of the victims, or they can say that we believe the version of the police, but it did not say that way. But they have closed saying that sufficient evidence is not there to come to any conclusion. So in that way, in the cases where when the state is involved, actually the police who are in the job of this is the police who are anti-extradition people who did this crime as a crime as far when they are coming back from the cooking operations. So ultimately, we have to file a private complaint. That private complaint is filed, and this incident has happened in 2007. That private complaint when we filed, and that has been in fact taken into cognizance by the special court. When we are filing that, the biggest task for us is against whom we have to file. Because in no case of this police who are any police, special police or Cobra police or anti-nexus stars, they never give the names of the police person who are involved in that team. So to know the names, none of these organizations, CBCD has not given the names, or in the retribution or before the SHRC, they did not give the names. When we saw these names, they said that it is under investigation, it will impede the investigation. So only person who has brought out their names is not of these institutions, but from the SCSD Welfare Commission Commissioner, Mr. Nagedi, in his inquiry, compared to all others, his role is much less. In fact, but he being a sensitive officer, he has going through all the what is going in newspapers and other things. He has brought out the names of those persons, and he has also came to a conclusion. Prima facie is a case which is to be inquired. That is the material became useful for us to file a private complaint. A private complaint is filed by Bhargava. In fact, his case he was relevant, and after filing the private complaint case, again the police, the persons, they approached the High Court by way of a criminal petition, revision petition, and that revision petition, in fact, they got a stay order. After getting stay order, so many years took place. And what ultimately the order also that the petition filed by them is dismissed. But again they went to the Supreme Court. So in the Supreme Court, after taking much long time, Supreme Court also said that by fixing a time of 4 months period to conclude the trial, has given the orders in the month of December 2017. But when advocates who are trying these cases, who wanted to conduct a trial, when he being a person, Mr. Jindal, an advocate, who is activist in tribal issues, and he wanted to go and collect some material from the place, and he has been taken into custody, and they photograph, the police photographs are thrown into his car, and the case is filed against him saying that he is taking these photographs, showing them to the victim women, and thereby they are fixing the police like they fashion other things. And they said that if this certificate is, because even to get this appointment, this certificate appointment, we have to be moved to the High Court. In the High Court only we got the order to appoint this advocate as a special public prosecutor. So again, they have created another legal battle. So in our legal battle against the police, always it becomes that now that our case is being fought, it is the case of the policeman case we have to fight in many fields, in many ways. That was what happened. So they filed that petition again, saying that the cancellation of this appointment of a public prosecutor. When they are asking that the High Court has given an order saying that let your inquiry on this public prosecutor, whatever the case, you conduct the inquiry, your investigation. But it has to be advocate has to conduct his trial. But ultimately, then they moved appeal court by filing a writ appeal. In the writ appeal, the court says some other advocates. Like that, this time, 10 years of time has taken place. Now the trial has started now. So it took 10 years for us to take a case to trial level against the police persons. That's the case everywhere. In some other cases, also the same experience we have experienced in Vijayawada, some custodial killings cases where we filed private complaints and we were able to get those cases taken into cognizance by the courts also. But thereafter, it moved to the High Court. Because there were several other police officers, they moved to High Court, not in one case. Each of the accused policemen they chosen to file separate cases, thereby testing our patience or whatever our legal sources, because we all know very well these are the cases we take up on our own without any we take up these cases, we don't get any PR. But by filing many cases, in that way also they are touching up. These cases also went up to Supreme Court level, and now finally they got the relief in the High Court, and in the Supreme Court, when we have challenged in the Supreme Court has said a CBI inquiry has to be ordered, and the CBI inquiry also finally came with a report saying that no case is made out. And that final report is not sent to the victim's family, because victim is already died. Victim's family member who filed a private complaint is supposed to be sent those final report, but they did not chosen to send a notice to them purposefully, because thereby somewhat delay occurred. And after knowing that, we ourselves filed a petition because not only the police, because in any these type of cases, the informant will never be a person. Another person will be the complainant. So these are the ways and means how they are frustrating the efforts made by the people who want to get them booked in the cases and bring them to courts as actually. And another case I would like to, because already time is gone, and one important aspect which I would like to share with you all. You all know that CRPC amendment is made to section 176 by 1A. 176 1A is amendment made in the year 2006. So thereby, any custodial death or disappearance or rape has to be inquired now by a judicial magistrate on his own. Earlier, it is to be conducted by the executive magistrate, and all these years, our experience is there is no single incident where they have come, the executive magistrate came with a report against the police. It always ends up in favor of the police and all. That's why for a long time, rights activists are opposing this, and the Law Commission has also taken up this issue, and this amendment is made. Surprisingly, even after this amendment, in these 10 years of period, there is no case law registered by under 176 1A, and any investigation is taken up by the magistrate. And when we have given representations to the authorities, they say that we have given the representative to the collector, saying that as per 1A, you cannot order your officers to conduct inquiry. It is by the regular magistrate. He has stopped his inquiry, whatever that they are doing, and he has not ordered. Thereby, delay is occurred. He says that I cannot order a judge to inquiry, it is a district judge to conduct the inquiry. So in that case, when we have filed a writ petition, when we are arguing that case, I came to know that there is no single case as a citation when I wanted to bring that to the court notice. Because court also asked us, show me any authorities. I told the court that there is no need of showing any authorities, it's a mandatory provision. There shall be an inquiry in addition to the police inquiry by the judicial measure. This is what the amendment says. But then finally I couldn't come across any high court or Supreme Court. So far, given this 10 years, despite of an amendment is made, no case is filed and brought to the level of high court, and it's came up to the level of citation. So I said that the court judge, if you pass the order, then it will go tomorrow as an authority. So by that way only to my knowledge, it has been reported. That is the one case where, in fact, within 3 months they have to conduct the inquiry. But in fact, the order is given in the year 2016. Now still the inquiry is going. Every Saturday we used to have. This Saturday is also that inquiry is there. This is the first case by a judicial magistrate of first class in the custodial death case that is there. And only under citation is from the Madras High Court.
Suresh, times up. Really, times up beyond time.
So, I conclude by saying that fighting against the system, particularly in cases of custodial torture or custodial deaths, lot of homework we have to do. Unless we have sufficient evidence, we can fight in the lower court with sufficient evidence to bring them to the court of law, or we can move the high courts. But these are the difficulties. We should have a lot of patience and fight taking a lot of time. But with this experience by sharing, I think that we can utilize this section 176 1A, which is amended. We have to file many cases using that, because there is a mandatory provision that by taking that use of that, we can at least fight to the extent of deaths and rapes or disappearance. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. You started off saying that torture is used to break the will of individuals. It is also used to break the will of groups systematically by the governments in power. And you also refer to the sexual violations. Of course, gender is an important aspect. And so, in fact, if you see the Indian prisons, the women prisoners constitute a minuscule portion. But be that as it may, even 3 or 5% of the present population, we must factor their special needs, particularly their hygiene needs. And if you recently, the Minister of Women and Child Development came out last week about with a report on the conditions of women prisoners. It's worthwhile going through it. And if you see in India signed the Torture Convention in the year 1997, but it has not been ratified. It's nearly 21 years. Then a couple of times they brought a bill before the parliament. It was a very weak bill, and there was an attempt to harmonize Indian laws with the aspirations of the UN Convention. And a lot of NGOs and others have also made representation to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Yet, the comprehensive bill on prevention of torture is yet to see the light of the day, and there is a need for civil society to mount advocacy for it. And how many cases have been taken to the courts of law complaining about overcrowding in jails? At the moment you recognize overcrowding is a violation, and it constitutes a violation of the international treaties, it constitutes violation of the, particularly the provision concerning the torture. I haven't, of course, if you see international level, there are many cases, but in the Indian courts have many cases been taken. And similarly, about the lack of provision for medical treatment, have many cases been taken to the courts of law. So this is an area which it requires further exploration. In fact, National Human Rights Commission in 1993 issued guidelines to all states that any death in custody should be reported within 24 hours. And failure to do so will lead to a presumption that there is an attempt to cover up. Now, NHRC received many reports from prison authorities ever since 1993. In some cases, they said the prisoner died of natural causes. And you know, it's not possible that everyone dies of natural causes. There are at times the reports are so far-fetched, and I have seen reports which said that there was a shoelace and the prisoner tied up with the shoelace and hanged himself to death. There have been such ridiculous, funny reports which have been fed to the commission from time to time. So these are serious matters. If somebody has not been given prompt medical attention and treatment, it is a human rights violation. And yesterday I mentioned to you about how the mental health conditions of prisoners. If in the general population, if 5 to 7% of the public are prone to mental health challenges, in prisons it is 3 times or 5 times more. And if one includes a substance abuse, it's even furthermore. Nearly 2/3 of prisoners have some mental health challenge or other. And how often does a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist visit them? And do they get so the moment you do not recognize a particular illness as a mental illness and treat it in a different approach, then you can easily visualize what will happen. And with these observations, now I pass on to Mr. Sunil for the session on deaths in prisons, and we will have combined questions for the sake of time management, and we will take all questions relating to custodial torture as well as death in prison together.
Thank you. First, I may introduce myself. I am Sunil Gupta. I have done 38 years of prison service. Prison service with तिहाड़. सोनी जी आप तारीफ कर रही थी ना तिहाड़ की. मैंने तिहाड़ में काम किया 38 साल तक. काफी चेंज करने की कोशिश की है, काफी चेंज हुआ भी है. Now coming to the topic, this death in prison. You see, 80% of the prison population, 80%, that come from the low economic state of the society, जिसमें दलित भी आ जाते हैं, SC, ST भी आ जाते हैं, minorities भी आ जाती हैं. They come from the poor economic state of the society. When they are admitted to the prison, they are suffering from various type of diseases, and TB is very common. TB is very common. इसके अलावा they are drug addict, क्योंकि आप देखेंगे slums वगैरह में drug addiction बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. They are drug addict. This is the position when they are admitted to the prison, and most of the deaths, most of the natural deaths, are of the prisoner who were suffering from TB at the time of admission, and some got TB while they are inside the prison. But most of the prisoners who died, they were suffering from TB at the time of admission. This is our research. We did research. Then, as Dr. Murthy has stated, that within 24 hours, we have to inform the NHRC about any death, and we are informing. Now, if you see the prison statistics compiled by NCRB, their last prison statistics were published for the year 2015. As per those prison statistics, 2015, there were total 1584 deaths in all jails across the country. Okay? Out of this, 115 were the unnatural death. 115 were the unnatural death. Unnatural death क्या होता है? किसी ने सुसाइड कर लिया, है ना? किसी ने सुसाइड कर लिया, किसी का मर्डर हो गया. मर्डर भी जेल में बहुत होते हैं. Even अगर we talk about Tihar, there are so many murders. You can't say that there is no murder in Tihar. There are so many murders. There is group rivalry, गैंगस्टर है, डिफरेंट गैंग्स के गैंगस्टर आ जाते हैं और आपस में जब बाहर लड़ते हैं तो जेल में जाते हैं. तो उसके देन of course there is negligence of the prison staff also, negligence of the medical staff also, because of which death occurs. Each death, as per new amendment in the 176 CRPC, each custodial death is investigated by the SDM or by the judicial magistrate. If there is suspicion, then the death will be investigated by the judicial magistrate. Who will entertain the suspicion? Superintendent jail. If he entertains the suspicion that any death is unnatural, then he can hand over the investigation of that case to the judicial magistrate. Otherwise, it is SDM inquiry. But at Tihar, what we were doing, that we were getting every death being inquired into by the judicial magistrate, because Tihar is at the center of the country. Even if someone is dying of TB, there will be petition before the High Court that this death is unnatural. Because I was the legal advisor of the jail, so I am telling from my experience that invariably in every case it is happening that some lawyers, they are filing the case that no, jail officer जो है वो छुपा रहे हैं, इसकी डेथ तो जो मारने से हुई है, उसकी घरवाली का बयान लगा देंगे कि मैं इनको मिल के आई तो ठीक ठाक थे, तो एकदम कैसे मर गए. तो इसलिए हमने क्या किया कि we are getting every death inquired into by the judicial magistrate so that there is no suspicion at all in the public mind. Then highest number of deaths is in the UP, followed by Punjab. मतलब पंजाब की बड़ी हैरानी होती है कि पंजाब में पॉपुलेशन तो इतनी ज्यादा नहीं है प्रिजनर्स की, but there are so many deaths. Highest number of deaths is in UP, that was 323, followed by Punjab, that was 178. Delhi High Court has had a number of judgments that you have not, the courts are not obliged to award compensation in the cases where the death is natural and no negligence has been attributed to the medical staff or jail superintendent staff. But despite that, I am telling you, so many deaths could have been saved if that person had been readily transported to the hospital. बहुत सारी डेथ ऐसे होती हैं कि बंदा पड़ा हुआ है, मतलब मैं अपनी गलती मान रहा हूँ मुझसे, बंदा पड़ा हुआ है जोड़ी मतलब एंट्रेंस गेट और एस्कॉर्ट नहीं मिल रही, पुलिस एस्कॉर्ट नहीं मिल रही, बिकॉज वी नीड पुलिस एस्कॉर्ट, उसको ले जाने की पुलिस एस्कॉर्ट नहीं मिल रही। अगर पुलिस एस्कॉर्ट मिल रही है तो एम्बुलेंस नहीं मिल रही, मतलब देखो कितना रिडिकुलस रीजंस है, और उससे वो मर जाता है। जब वो मर जाता है तो सुप्रीम क्या करता है, मरे हुए को कोर्ट में वहां भेज देता है हॉस्पिटल में। He know that person has died. He knows that person has died, but what the Supreme Judge will say that he will send that person to the hospital, and in hospital doctor died at broad death. Almost in 75% death. I am saying, I am talking about the very death. 75% natural death. It is written by the doctor at the outside hospital that he was brought dead. Because वो कहते हैं कि जब वो वहाँ चला जाएगा तो अपने आप को एसडीएम इंक्वायरी या जो मजिस्ट्रेट इंक्वायरी है वो करवाएंगे, सब कुछ जो उनकी मोर्चरी में जो बॉडी पहुंच जाएगी। Then now Supreme Court has directed in human condition case that they have to give compensation in all society, in all unnatural death cases. Of course, this is the good direction of the court. Then, what are the reason of such a large number of deaths? At the heart, I used to see that some year back there was 17 or 18 deaths, but suddenly this number has risen. Now there are 48, 50 deaths per year. आप ज़्यादा बता सकते हैं इसको। The reasons of this large number of deaths is number one, the prisoner at the time of admission are either drug addict or suffering from various type of diseases like TB. TB is more predominant. Number two is the, in case of unnatural death, is the group rivalries. In every city, there are a group of dada. They are fighting outside, and when they come to the jail, in the jail also, they are struggling for one-upmanship. वो कहता है कि मैं बड़ा दादा हूँ, वो कहता है कि मैं छोटा दादा हूँ, तो चलो मैं जल्दी से खत्म करता हूँ। तीसरा है negligence of the staff, then चौथा है torture by the prison staff. These four are the main reasons of large number of deaths in the prisons. Then actually we have to take curative step. Curative steps are that in Delhi Prison Act 2000, I think this is the first act in the country where we have prescribed that no prison officer will use excess force than required. Meaning he will use minimum force. पहले क्या होता था, एक अलार्म, शायद आपको जेल के बारे में आपको जो माइट भी नोइंग कि जेल में एक अलार्म होता है जो कि बड़ी डेंजरस चीज होती है ना। जेल में जब अलार्म होता है क्या होता है कि then there is a free for all for the prison staff. They will come with डंडा, और जो बंदा उनको सूट नहीं करता था उसको उसमें या तो मार देंगे या झगड़ा कर देंगे या कुछ कर देंगे। अलार्म ये बहुत गंदी चीज होती है। तो इस चीज को देखते हुए हमने तिहाड़ में ये प्रिजन एक्ट में डाला है कि यू विल यूज मिनिमम फोर्स। और दूसरा, क्योंकि क्या होता था जब भी राइट्स होते थे हम लोग दिखा देते थे कि ये एस्केप करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे और इसलिए हमने इनको मार दिया। तो when there is this provision in the prison act, तो they can't escape from this. दूसरा है कि दूसरा है to take strict action, क्योंकि जनरली जो है बड़ी एक्सेसेस आर बीइंग कमिटेड, क्योंकि प्रिजन स्टाफ को पता होता है कि हमारे पर कोई एक्शन नहीं होगा। प्रिजन स्टाफ को पता होता है कि हमारे पर एक्शन नहीं होगा, तो इसलिए वो एक्सेसिव होते हैं। तो टू टेक एक्शन अगेंस्ट द प्रिजन स्टाफ जब भी कोई इंक्वायरी में आता है। तीसरा जो है देयर शुड बी काउंसलिंग फॉर द डिप्रेस्ड प्रिजनर। ये सम ऑफ द क्यूरेटिव स्टेप। थैंक यू वेरी मच। Now, I am happy to announce you that Mr. Popul Datta from the NHRC is also here, and Mr. Navkiran Singh is also here. हमने पता नहीं कितनी बार नौकिरन सिंह जी से बात की, पर देखा आज इनको पहली बार है। ये भी कह रहे हैं कि 10 साल के बाद मैंने आपको देखा है। तो I will request Mr. Popul Datta to good afternoon to all of you.
And thank you for this opportunity. I work in the investigation division of the National Human Rights Commission. So I will speak to you about the kind of work that we do about deaths in prisons. You have heard about the NHRC guidelines. It started from the very, almost in the year of the inception of the NHRC, 1993, that each death in prison has to be reported to the Commission. You may not understand or appreciate how significant that guideline was in 2018, but in 1993, many deaths went unreported. And people used to, because it is a closed environment, many things happen in prisons which people outside don't come to know about. So that was a very major human rights violation that the Commission sought to address. And the more important thing about to note about that guideline is that the death has to be reported within 24 hours. And the reason for this stipulation is that the prison authorities should, that is the maximum time, 24 hours, it has to be reported immediately, as soon as possible, so that there is no opportunity or any foul play, no suppression of facts. And the guideline, in fact, I will just read out one particular line from that. It says, failure to report promptly, that is within 24 hours, will give rise to the presumption that there is an attempt to suppress the matter. These are very strong words. So starting from so we get to know about each death in a prison. The death is reported by the superintendent of jail and the district magistrate. Each death is registered in the Commission as a case. Whether the reason of death, cause of death is reported to be natural, unnatural, suicide, custodial violence, whatever be the reason, cause. Each case is registered and investigated. For investigation of a case, we require reports, scientific reports. And just to clarify so that you don't confuse the word investigation with police investigation. This investigation takes place under the Protection of Human Rights Act, not under the Criminal Procedure Code of Criminal Procedure. So this is an investigation. Some people even I have heard in seminars and in discussions that that is not investigation then. Isn't it just an inquiry? I mean, I disagree. I mean, it is an investigation. If you would like to just limit the use of the word investigation to investigation under CRPC, then it's a different matter. But investigation is a thorough scientific investigation. A doctor also investigates. A lawyer investigates. So we investigate under the Protection of Human Rights Act. The first report that is necessary is inquest report. An inquest report
tells us about the apparent cause of death. It is apparent because the people who are responsible for conducting inquests are not doctors. A magistrate in presence of an executive magistrate, not a judicial magistrate, an executive magistrate in the presence of laypersons, witnesses, conducts an inquest. Sometimes in many states practices differ when police officers get inquests conducted, but it has to be in the presence of independent witnesses, family members. This is a very important report, and which is first in the timeline, because this is the first thing that somebody goes and takes a look at the dead body, finds out whether there are injuries, external injuries. He cannot examine internally. He can find out whether the body, what condition the body is in, whether there is a rigor mortis, about rigor mortis. So that tells us about the time since death. And then this inquest report is followed by a post-mortem examination by a doctor, forensic doctor. Though there is another guideline of the NHRC that each post-mortem examination has to be videographed. This is again to ensure that there is no foul play and everything is above board. Sometimes doctors do not provide the cause of death in the post-mortem report. They say that it will depend on the certain examinations, like chemical examination, viscera examination, histopathological examination reports. So the commission requires that the PMR, whether it has reached a cause of death or not, it should be sent to the commission, and it should be followed up by other reports like the viscera, histopathological report, and final cause of death. After examining all the reports, the board of doctors or doctors who have conducted autopsy have to come to a cause of death. That is called the final cause of death. So, in all, there is a guideline of the commission that videography is essential in conditions, in those cases where there is either a suspicion or any allegation. Not just suspicion, but also allegation. If a family member says that I suspect that something has happened, then also videography is essential. A magisterial inquiry report, as you have heard Mr. Gupta, is essential under 176 1A, capital A. It has to be done by a judicial magistrate. The commission, however, accepts reports from magisterial inquiry report from an executive magistrate also in cases where there is no suspicion or any foul play. That is a full commission proceedings. This is just not to say that the magisterial inquiry should not be rigorous. It should always be rigorous. And for that, the commission has issued guidelines separately that what should a magisterial inquiry contain. But this is just to save precious judicial time, because as you know, in the courts, our judiciary is already very burdened. So, in cases where there is no foul play or no suspicion, prima facie, then an executive magistrate can also conduct an inquiry. This is a position that the NHRC has taken, but the district authorities are free to get it conducted as per CRPC, and in fact, the commission's proceeding is an interpretation of the CRPC's provisions. But as Mr. Gupta said, in Bihar jail, for example, many other jails, they get the magisterial inquiry conducted by judicial magistrate. That is good, quite good, a good practice, I would say. The Commission's guidelines about magisterial inquiries are very important. A magisterial inquiry should begin with the visit of the spot where the death has taken place. Examination of witnesses, independent witnesses, natural witnesses. Examination of family members. Their versions should come. And magisterial inquiry should be conducted as soon as possible, not after a delay. In fact, the Commission has, in its guidelines, said that it should be sent within 2 months of the death in prison. And the magistrate has to record all the statements. He has to look at all the documents, inquest report, PMR, other scientific reports, and come to a conclusion. Our experience in the Commission has been that a magisterial inquiry, if it is just perfunctory, does not help. Unless it goes into all the aspects of a case, it does not help the Commission. So in some cases, despite the magisterial inquiry report saying that the death was natural and there was no negligence on the part of the district jail authorities, the Commission, on the basis of evidences before it, feels that further inquiry is necessary. It can send its team to the prison and get an independent inquiry conducted. Another very important thing that has come up is what is natural death and what is unnatural death. The Commission has taken a very sensitive and humane view in this matter. As Mr. Gupta said, that people who come to the prison belong to, most of the cases, very poor and underprivileged category. Their health conditions are not good. The Commission has issued guidelines about what should be done when a prisoner is admitted in a prison. His health screening is mandatory. And for health screening, the Commission has prescribed a performer that is called initial health screening performer. And it records all the vital parameters, and that serves as a very important document for us to ascertain whether the prisoner, UTP or convict, received adequate medical attention during his stay in prison or not. If he didn't have any condition, any medical condition when he was admitted, then how did was his death avoidable? Could his death have been avoided by providing adequate medical attention? These are the things which will depend, which depends to a large extent on the initial health. So that has to be done very carefully by the jail doctor, and we have seen that in many cases the health screenings are not done. A report is prepared afterwards. So that also goes against the jail, because if a prisoner, that means if the health screening report is prepared later on and it is said that the prisoner had normal health at the time of admission, then the question arises, what was done? to ensure that he does not suffer from any health problems, or when his health problem is diagnosed, was he given adequate medical treatment. So these are things, and we have a panel of experts in the NHRC who take a look at all the medical records and opine whether whether there was any negligence in either diagnosis, treatment, palliative care, etc. So this is very important because what is natural, for example, a heart attack or what is called cardiac myocardial infarction, is a natural cause of death. But if a prisoner has certain condition at the time of admission, and if that condition could have been managed with adequate medication, and if he had been denied that medication, that death does not remain natural. It becomes unnatural. So these are the things that we look at when we investigate deaths in prison, and the Commission has the power to award compensation if it finds that the right to health or right to life of a prisoner has been violated. Thank you very much.
Firstly, I would like to introduce myself. I am practicing as a lawyer in Punjab and Haryana High Court since last 32 years. And the main focus of my practice has been criminal law. And I have a passion for human rights. So I have been visiting jails, meeting prisoners, providing them free legal aid, and getting inquiries marked, appeared before the NHRC. So I have a wide experience, because quite otherwise what is usually told in the lectures over here. So it's a very interesting topic that, and the topic on which I have to speak is death in prisons, though I'm not restricting myself to that. I will be addressing you on the issue of custodial torture and custodial deaths, because deaths only do not take place in prisons, they also take place in the police stations. So, we have a beautiful system, we have beautiful laws which are taught to you in the schools, law schools and colleges, and which are quoted in the speeches by the people who are part of that system, who protect each other. So what I am trying to tell you, that how the system fails in human rights of an individual. So we say we don't have laws relating to custodial torture. We don't have laws relating to custodial deaths. Even our ex-law minister has recently filed, last year filed a petition in the Supreme Court, Mr. Ashwani Kumar, saying that we should have special laws on torture. And when the Supreme Court asked him that you were a law minister of the country, why you did not pass such a law, he had no answer. So when people retire, they talk in a different tone. When they are in the power, they somehow forget about the human rights of the people. Now the thing is that the law says when a person is arrested, he should be produced before the magistrate within 24 hours. Now the problem does not lie over here. In 99% cases where a person is taken in custody, he is not taken in legal custody. If you visit any police station, if you ever have a chance, I had a chance of taking warrant officers in police stations to get people illegal released. And I have visited many police stations, and I have visited prisons throughout the world. And mind you, in every police station, if you just walk into a police station, And if somebody is along with you who has the power to ask them the question, you will find at all times in all police stations at least 10 to 20 people who are sitting in the police station in the lockup without any police remand, and they are all in illegal detention. 99% of the crimes are investigated in illegal custody. So what will the laws do? We have laws. A person has to be produced within 24 hours. But do they ever the magistrates who have powers to visit the police station, do they ever visit the police station? Do they make a surprise raid on the police stations? For every police station, you have a judicial magistrate. Leave aside the executive magistrates. We say they are all mixed up. And there may be good magistrates also, but most of them are all mixed up. But what about the judicial magistrates? They are duty bound because each police station has to report about the crime to the judicial magistrate. But do you ever find a judicial magistrate making a surprise visit to the police station? So everybody knows, the judicial magistrate also knows that this person is coming from illegal custody, he has been tortured. And just see what the law has been written. If you read section 55A, which we consider to be very salutary and which talks about the health and safety of arrested person. Now this was added in 2009, mind it. In 2009 only, somebody has thought about the well-being of the people who have been taken in custody. So it says, it shall be duty of the person having custody of an accused to take reasonable care of the health and safety of the accused. Now, what is the definition of the reasonable care? As Mr. Sunil Gupta has told, that most of the prisoners die without there being availability of a conveyance to be conveyed to the hospital. And this is rightly said by Mr. Sunil Gupta, being endorsed by me, that in 99% of the deaths they say brought to the hospital, brought dead. So they are carrying a dead body to the hospital so that there is a post-mortem and the normal procedures are adopted. But the most alarming part is that whenever, even if we are able to prove that it's a custodial death and it's due to the negligence or the mens rea is against those people who are having the custody of the person, we don't find even a single court saying that the person in whose custody this person has lost his life, he should lose his job, or he should be convicted, or he should be tried for an offence. NHRC also grants only compensations. Have you ever seen a judging that this person has died in custody? The superintendent of the jail should be held responsible and he should be tried for the offence? At least I have not heard of that judgment.
I think
Just a second. I'm going to say, see, if there is a solitary judgment, you can always quote that. But I have experience of NHRC, a long time. Punjab has faced NHRC also, and we know what NHRC had been doing. And we also had a collegium on how the NHRC and the state human rights commissions, and we have released a book also on that. The thing to be seen is, what I am trying to quote is, that everybody is mixed up. And after 70 years of independence, there is no human rights of a citizen in India. You visit a police station, in the lockup there is no water, there is no electricity, there is no fan, there is no cot, there is no chair. So they think that the person who is being brought to the police station, still being a suspect, he is already convicted. So he is humiliated to that extent that many even commit suicide in the police stations because they cannot withstand the torture of the police. So we lay down beautiful laws B.K. Basu laid down beautiful laws and amendments were made in the CRPC. But the problem is that who is going to adhere to those? And when they don't adhere, you file writ petitions in the High Court, the judges don't have time to give. I have a case pending in the Haryana High Court where two of my clients who were in prison, one as an under trial and one as a convict, they were made to clean the sewerage system of the jail and both of them died. Now, in which law does a permission being given to the jail officials to ask a prisoner to clean the sewerage of the jail? And both of them died. I have argued that matter for more than 10 times, but the judges keep on changing and they don't give a decision. So people who belong to poor families don't even get compensation. And if you give a compensation after 5 years, but by that time what the family must have gone through, you can well imagine. So we have beautiful laws, and we have laws to go to the international forums saying that we have a National Human Rights Commission, we have a State Human Rights Commission, things are working very well, we are doing this, we are doing that. But as a human rights lawyer, you start searching for judgments where people have been convicted for custodial crimes. You will rarely find a judgment on that. So the thing is that the laws have been beautifully made, but the people in power, I mean to say the public servants, have been equally given the immunity to safeguard themselves by violating the laws. So till the people who are the violators of human rights are taken to task, they lose their job, nobody is going to bother for your human rights. It's a very difficult task to even practice as a human rights lawyer. My 4 colleagues were killed by Punjab police. You will be surprised to hear that. So if you are a human rights lawyer, tomorrow you can be picked up by the police and killed by them. You can face charges, or human rights defenders have been facing charges, or illegal charges while performing their duties. Colin held a colloquium on that, and all the human rights defenders collected over there. So I'm going to say it's very easy. We have beautiful laws. Now kindly see, if you see that for a custodial rape, we have amended the law. Now if a rape is committed in custody, you can be given life sentence till death. So why can't we have a law which would say if a person gets killed in custody, the perpetrator should be given life sentence till death? Why can't we have a special law for the injuries suffered by a person in custody? The reason being that the people do not want that the police force should become answerable. The politicians also use the police force. To remain in power, you need the help of the police. And you ought to give sanction to their illegal actions so that they are by your side. So governments change, but the investigative machinery has not been changed. We have not trained our police officials how to investigate the crime. The only thing which we have taught them, hang a person upside down and he'll tell the truth. What are the scientific methods being adopted by the investigative agencies? So there are so many problems which need to be addressed, and law, we have beautiful laws, we deliver judgments. I had, in our state, I visited the jails of Punjab, Haryana and UP because we wanted to defend those people who were facing death sentence. And mind you, the judgment of Sunil Batra was delivered by Justice Krishna here in 1978, and it was not implemented in Punjab, Haryana and UP till 2010. I don't know about the other states. I personally visited those jails, met those prisoners in solitary confinement and got them released from solitary confinement. So that is the state of affairs. So it's good that I got a chance to interact with the students, law students, and it's really very, I would say that we need that the students should also focus on the human rights law. Because all the young students who are students of law try to be corporate lawyers and want to earn good money. But very few come forward to serve the community and to serve the citizens. And I take this opportunity that you must come forward and try to serve the community and serve the nation in this manner. We have an organization by the name of Lawyers for Human Rights International. It's a group of lawyers. We are a self-funded organization. We provide free legal aid to people. We file public interest litigations in the High Court. And even a public interest litigation is pending where we are prosecuting politicians who are involved in drug trade. And people who are abroad who are involved in the drug trade, we are trying to get them extradited. Recently, we got an order passed that the licenses of all the chemists should be checked in Punjab, Haryana and UT. And the licenses should be displayed in the chemist shop because most of the licenses are taken by people who are not competent to run the chemist shops because those prescription drugs are being supplied to the youngsters. So we are trying to make an effort to bring a change, and we would expect that the young generation also follow us. Thank you so much.
Actually, I suppose that all our safety and security is protected by the state now. In asking this, have we given the mandate to the state to protect our safety and security at any cost? By depriving the life and liberty of the people who are supposed to have violated the law, those who are behind the bar. What is the cost of our safety and security? The cost of our safety and security is incarceration of 60 lakh people per year and an average 4 lakh people per day. And also it costs death of 6 people per day and around 1600 to 1500 people per year in India. We want the state to do everything that is necessary, not only to protect our safety and security also, but also who are seen as in conflict with law. Those who are also considered as violating the law. But state or the government seem to think we will manage somehow. You don't worry. Your safety and security is ensured, but don't ask us to follow any standards. What is the kind of standards we want the state to follow in ensuring our safety and security? It is a fashion in a conference on prisoners' rights to think that we all completely agree with all the rights that we want for prisoners. But the moment there is a meeting in the next door about a rape, we are asking the state to hang them on the road in public. I think only one person after a long time I heard today, the person from Meghalaya, who was protesting against the killing of 2 women by a man. She also demonstrated against killing that accused, and he was killed by the police. This is the dilemma of a civil society. We have an understanding, the people with less credibility they deserve only the less or substandard of treatment by the state. Without our indifference, without our silence, I don't think things would be the way it is happening to the business. Article 21 doesn't talk about people from the poor background can be dealt with. It only uses the word I as a lead law teacher. Say that Article 21 says no person, it doesn't say even about a citizen. I keep differentiating meanings of different words in the classroom, saying that a person, a citizen, under trial, a convict, a arrestee. At the time of arrest, somebody is not even accused. I think somehow the credibility of the people who are in conflict with the law governs our psyche. The people who are in the bureaucracy are outside, determining what kind of standards we should be giving. It is, it's very surprising. I don't understand what is so natural about a prison that is created by law. As the poor people go to prison to get old and die there. There is nothing like a natural death. If it is not legal, let us also think about what is ethical about it. The moment you go to prison, you don't have any right over your life. Can you take care of your life? Do you have freedom to take care of your health? These perfunctory magisterial inquiries that are done in order to identify, fix the responsibility individually is always protecting the system. If there is no doctor, Supreme Court actually read inhuman conditions has only asked if there is no doctor and somebody dies, is it a natural death or unnatural death? I want to ask, is Human Rights Commission willing to fix the vicarious liability of the state in case there is no doctor, there is no escort, there is no laboratory? Has it ever done?
Yeah, I think I.
No, sir.
No, please.
Go into it.
Is there a, see, individually you can't fix it. You see the tactic. If the person dies in the prison, still is sent outside for the hospital. And on the way, the doctor says outside he is died on the way. And doctor is not responsible, prison is not responsible. The man dies in the no land, no man's land. So therefore nobody is responsible. After this Supreme Court judgment, I filed a appeal in High Court. I said, even before you want to give a compensation to all those cases where admittedly somebody died unnatural death, you need to decide what is unnatural death. A person can be taken to hospital. He has to be admitted there. But the escort police don't want to sleep on the floor in the hospital. The escort police asks the hospital, please send him as outpatient. He brings him back. Who is responsible for that? Have we taken anybody to task? Who will manage? See, one fundamental thing that I want to tell you is criminal justice system, not only in this case, in general, has never been unprepared to handle our safety and security. It has never been prepared. Still, we are managing how? We don't have enough police, we don't have enough judges, we don't have enough escort. Still, we are managing how? Because the accumulated effect of inefficiency and substandard is resulting in the human rights violations behind the door where people are dying and people are living in inhuman conditions. Because somebody else is paying the cost. See, there is no judge. Therefore, one case is decided instead of 5 years, it is decided after 15 years. We are not worried because somebody else is paying the price. See, can a police say that we don't have enough police, therefore we don't want to even arrest somebody? Are we saying that? No, we want to arrest. We want to put them in the prison. Medical escort is provided only on Saturday. Let me tell you something else. The prison is designed in such a way, before somebody gets a heart attack, it is 2.5 hours or 3 hours before he can be taken to the hospital, which is lost, which is called a burden away. No, one fundamental question is, okay, natural death can happen anywhere, but at the same time, there is so much of historical literature that says only death visits only to some sections in the prison, not to the all sections. Okay. Still, an result that can come in the prison also, it is very dictatorial, it can come anywhere. But can we, with all convictions, say that preventable deaths are prevented by the system? Can we say this? I have been working on prisons for the last 20 years. The honest doctors, prison officers do say that the system is working in such a way that it's very difficult to prevent because nobody is responsible for this. Nobody is held responsible for this. I myself and Suresh belong to an organization which submitted custodial deaths of 225 that was recorded in Andhra Pradesh between 85 to 95. The entire report was submitted to National Human Rights Commission. After that only the custodial guidelines are issued by the National Human Rights Commission. We also belong to an organization called Andhra Pradesh Civil Liberties Committee which submitted fake encounters, about 650 fake encounters, of which only 6 were investigated by the National Human Rights Commission and issued a guideline. Everybody knows what is the fate of those guidelines. I am referring these things also because most of them happened in custody. The 6 cases in which the National Human Rights Commission investigated belong to the people when they were caught in front of their wives, in front of their fathers. It gives some guidelines saying that it should be investigated by the neighboring police officer as if it is very different from the police officer who tell it. Nothing has happened. Again, let me get back to the deaths in the prison. I have not heard about NHRC or even Supreme Court saying that as far as health is concerned, we should follow the principle of equivalence. The standard of medical facilities that is available to a citizen should be made available to anyone inside the prison. Have we accepted this? It is only when there is a principle of equivalence in as far as the standards of medical health that is available, then only we can prevent the deaths. We are not doing that. No, it's not blaming one person. The medical department doesn't, see, prison department doesn't have the power to recruit the doctors. Nobody wants to go and treat the prisoners. Jindal prison, I have written an editorial article in Indian Express 10 years back. What is the shortage of medical department in the Jindal prison and why within 3 months so many people died? Sir, in Punjab, out of 178 prisoners who died, half of them are not from poorest class. They are all drug addicts. I don't understand why drug addicts should die in the prison. Since how long TB has been a preventable death? Curable disease. For common people, TB has been treated long back. Why people die in the prison when there is TB? How do we explain that? TB is a incurable disease in prison. How do we explain this? So many things are wrong. System is not working. Because some people want to manage, because middle class don't go to prison. Unless it is 488 or white collar crime. We will know how to do the same. We will manage. It is the poorest. There is no, say, let us understand this whole issue from other point of view. 60% of the 70% of the people who are dying in the prison are under trials proportionate to their number in the general population. There is another way of assessing the gravity of the deaths in the prison. What is the BMR, that is the present mortality rate in America? For everything else we want American standards. In America, which is incarcerating 2.2 million people and another 7 million people who are on probation, their present mortality rate is 200. What is present mortality rate? How many people die per 1 lakh prisoners? It is 200. What is in India? It is 400. In Uttar Pradesh it is 440. In Punjab it is 750. For every 1 lakh prisoners incarcerated, 750 people are dying. And Punjab government says that 99% of deaths are investigated and all of them are proved to be natural deaths. Though no death has been investigated under 176(1)(a). In Karnataka, magistrate goes to prison and talks to opponent and writes a 3-page report. He doesn't talk to the prisoners who have witnessed the suffering of the next prisoner. He doesn't talk to the parents of the prisoners, asking whether your son has been suffering from any disease, whether you have anything to say. Magistrate doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't talk to the doctor outside. He will write a report. I have investigated 129 deaths that happened in 2005. In 6 deaths, the doctors who have done post-mortem report have written saying, in the 6 cases, prison doctor should be prosecuted for giving a wrong diagnosis and wrong medical treatment. I filed that case before the SHR, so nothing has been done. It's not we are saying, it is the outside doctors are writing. 176 is, Suresh rightly spoke. The Maharashtra government goes on record saying it has made a submission before the High Court of Bombay saying that we are not aware of the 2006 amendment about 176(1)(a). Ignorance of law is not an excuse for common people, but it is an excuse for the state. Can we see actually what is the most beautiful presentation today, about the most comprehensive presentation today? That is my story. Why? She really connected things, what happens outside the prison and also inside the prison. Have we ever tried to see why illegal custody and torture that happens in the police stations has any correlation for the increasing number of deaths in the prison? If some deaths happens within 2 months of imprisonment, we should see that whether there is any correlation between the death in the prison and the illegal torture inside the police station. Actually, in the report that we have given as on behalf of APCLC, we have clearly demonstrated what are the nature of the crimes in which people are vulnerable for the custodial torture. It is a property crime. In most property crimes, they are vulnerable for custodial torture and death. Now, without establishing custodial violence outside the prison, that is the police station, you can't establish. See, you are broken completely in the police station for 1 month or 2 months. Just before you collapse, you are produced before the magistrate. Magistrate records the size, he doesn't record the wounds on the body of the accused. Recently, in one case, the prison superintendent had the courage to say that there are so many wounds on the body of this person, therefore I don't want to take him. You go, take him to the magistrate, record them, then only I will admit him. In 99% of the cases, the prison superintendents don't reject it. In subjects, in which subject in the country you tell me, there is a doctor to record the wounds of the. There are how many subjects in the country? Around 600. Now 50% of the prisoners are admitted through subjects in the local area. There is no medical facilities, nobody records it. And then he is transported to the district prison. If he is charged under 302 or grave crimes, because they are all to be committed before the district sessions judge. How do you ensure that whether when he was tortured or why he is going to be succumbing to this? So system actually has to do everything that is necessary. But what is happening? See, finally I want to only contrast only one thing. If somebody is deprived of his life, that is sentenced for death. Let us remember how many stages of hearing is there. It takes 15 years, 10 years before somebody is hanged. legally until curative petition, whatever, 15 years. But then you are deprived of only your liberty as under trial. You are meeting your death in the prison. No. Or legally sentenced death. There are so many ways of ensuring that he is legally deprived of his life. Article 21 says that no, his liberty and life should be deprived only procedure established by law. But see, when your life is deprived, your liberty automatically goes. But when law deprives only your liberty, your life is also automatically going. Why are we taking it so easily? Is it because there are people with no credibility? No, at least in case of under trial, how do we justify that they are not even convicts? Their innocence or guilt has yet to be established. How do we justify that? We are very good in setting the standards, but things are not as good as we think that no, or as good as it is being portrayed. Thank you.
A very good afternoon. A very good afternoon. That's better. I'm S.S. Rathi. Presently, I'm National Legal Services Authority, and I'm a judicial officer of 1997 batch. It's my 21st year as a judge. I'm a Delhi judiciary officer, and I'm privileged to call in sir, to Sunil and for the Jindal University for giving me this opportunity. I heard a lot about Jindal Global, but never had an opportunity to come here. Even though originally I belong to Haryana, and I'm privileged to have two young handsome judges from Haryana judiciary with me. And Sunil Gupta is a very, very old friend. When I became a judge, he was my trainer, and he took me on a tour to Tihar jail. And so that since then we have been very close friends. I see one thing common in so many of us, and that is a camaraderie, is that we have all been to jail. Is it right? Or is there somebody who has never been to any jail? You have never been to any jail. So maybe, inshallah, you will go to jail very soon. Not as a prisoner, but as a reformer. As a paralegal, if you are a law student or as a lawyer, as a jail visiting advocate, it's a different experience, it's a different world, I may say. Our experience, Sunil ji, of jail is जो पिक्चरों में देखते हैं, या जब छोटे थे तो खेलते थे, अब तो जेल जाना पड़ेगा, जेल की रोटी खानी पड़ेगी. And mind you, when we used to go to jail from legal services or as a magistrate for test identification periods and all, people used to say कि आप मुझे ले जाके एक बार जेल का खाना खिला दो. पंडित जी ने बोला कि शनि खुश हो जाएंगे. So jail is such a stigma. Jail is such a wonderful place, if I can use the word. Do you agree? It's a wonderful place. Because आप लोगों ने pessimistic बातें करी 2 दिन में. मैंने आपको curriculum पढ़ा और अभी सबने इतना अच्छा address किया. So I want to, sir, with your permission, look at the positive side of jail also. सबसे पॉजिटिव तो ये है कि let us not call them jail, let us call them सुधार गृह. This is what we call Sunil. इंग्लिश में क्या बोलेंगे इसमें? Correctional homes. So they are not a jail. Technically देखा जाए तो यूनिवर्स के हिसाब से अर्थ के हिसाब से jail. We can't go to Mars, we can't go to any other place. So we are confined to a place. It's a mental blockade which we call a jail. But jail has been a place where very, very good personalities, they have done very good literary works. So can we have a small bit interactive also at this stage? Why I am talking of these things is because after such a good lunch in such a cool environment, it is but obvious कि आपको नींद आएगी. So I promise you कि मैं सोने नहीं दूँगा. So anybody who can remember a good literary work done by some great personality while being in jail? Jawaharlal Nehru, Discovery of India. Gandhiji's book, My Experiments with Truth, that was also penned in jail. Another
When we talk of a jail inmate, let us not talk of Gandhiji because that was some time ago, half a century ago. In the modern era, who is the most respected prison inmate which comes to your mind?
Mr. Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. He also penned his book while being in incarceration. How many years did he spend in jail? How many?
28 years.
27 years. 27 years is a generation. 27 is a quarter of a century he spent in jail, and he penned his book called Conversations with Myself. And it was a scrapbook kind of thing whenever he used to think of why he's in jail and all that. And one of the great personalities who I always admire, and there has never been a day when we go for legal services lecture and don't take his name, is Sir Martin Luther King Jr. And his famous quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," was penned when he was inside a jail. So jail has been a place, Marco Polo wrote so many books, and if you will just Google literary works in jail, you will be amazed. The best of the literary works were in jail, and one of the most famous personalities which we have not discussed as of yet is Hitler. Can you imagine he was jailed? And what book he wrote while he was in jail? Mein Kampf. He wrote that book before he became the Hitler which we know. And a lot of ideas, because you have a lot of time on earth, you don't have WhatsApp, you don't have Facebook in jail, and when we used to sit as magistrates in session, there used to be an application will come कि सर मुझे iPad ले जाने दो, एक कहते मुझे laptop ले जाने दो, या आप क्या करोगे कि मैं किताब लिखूंगा तो कॉपी पेंसिल से लिख ले भाई, बोला नहीं सर वो थोड़ा सा easy हो जाता है, I'm very used to typing and all. So jail is a place where as you call it ashram, the hard jail looks like an ashram. And I don't know, हम जाते हैं तभी आश्रम बन जाता है, बाहर निकलते I have my reservations because when we go there, everything looks so perfect. Adi madam, आपने बताया, we have a pleasure to have you with Asma. I think everybody knows about NALSA. You have heard of this body? Yes. National Legal Services Authority. Yes. We came. The idea is very old. I wish I would have brought. हो सकता है कल कोशिश करूँ. We really showed a video of history of legal services in India. Absolutely, we can show it. I'll just see if it is possible in after some time. I have it in my pen drive. How the journey of legal services started. And the core area of legal services is the people who are incarcerated. Rather, we don't call it people in jail, we call it people in custody. It can be a reform custody, it can be a mental health custody or institutional custody. They are all entitled to free legal services. And this is how this idea started, and in a very nice documentary of around 8 minutes, we have covered the history of legal services movement in India. The inclusion of Article 39A in the 42nd Amendment in 1976. You are all aware of that. Lawsuits must be aware of that. Everybody is aware of 39A?
Yes, sir.
What does it provide for?
Legal aid. Free legal aid.
That's all. By whom? By some good NGO like HRLN?
Government.
Who is duty bound to provide legal aid?
Government.
The state. That is the idea. As an open court system, judiciary says everybody is equal, everybody can hire Ramjet Malani or Gopal Subramanian. Is it so? We can't do that because we know people who are not even able to make their 2 square meals or they don't have a roof above their head, they cannot have access to justice and there can't be equality among us unequals. So state was casted in duty as early as 1976. And then we came up with a draft of Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. How many years? 11 years. To give a shape to Article 39A. And even after spending 11 years in bringing the first draft, we took another 8 years to notify it. When was this statute notified? Legal Services Authorities Act 1987, which gave birth to my organization.
1995.
1995. We took 8 years to do that. And we celebrate 9th of November as Legal Services Day, and we have a program. I think anybody of you must have attended some program somewhere on Legal Services Day which we celebrate. So it is in 1995 that we seriously started the journey of coming to the rescue of people who are economically underprivileged, or they are so stated placed in life that they need to be helped, they need to be hand holding is required. And the most important thing is about the people who are in jail. So this has to be done. As far as my organization's clinics are concerned, we have National Legal Service Authorities, we have State Legal Services Authorities, we have District Legal Service Authorities, we have Tehsil level Legal Service Authorities, 36 SLSs, 651 district authorities, and 2,222 Tehsil level authorities. We have 21,000 legal services clinics all over India. In India, we have 1,235 odd jails, out of which 1,157 jails have clinics run by legal services institutions. 900 panel lawyers are dedicatedly working in jails. We have a huge panel of 60,000 lawyers and 71,000 paralegals working with us pan India. There is not a single district or tehsil where we are not working. So we keep on improving our infrastructure. Recently, Honorable Mr. Justice Ranjan Gogoi, who is my current chairman and future Chief Justice of India, we started a program of digitization of jail clinics. Out of these 1,200 odd clinics, 700 have been digitized and they are part of e-prisons portal. Many of you must be aware of e-prisons portal. So our clinics, we are seeking an access from that so that we can have a real-time knowledge of what is the next state, how things are happening in the jail. When I had the opportunity to work in Delhi State Authority from 2015 to 12 to 15, there was an issue before coming to the UPRC thing. We prepared a scheme whenever a man or a woman is arrested, and that is the only earning member. Have you ever thought of what happens to their family? You know, when somebody goes to jail, you have a sarkari boarding and lodging, but what happens to the family if he is the only earning member? So we have seen cases, we have wife, you have aged parents, you have 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 children, who will take care of them? So it so happened in one of the cases, a man happened to murder his wife and they had 3 children and they were thrown away on the streets. So the High Court took the view that asked every government to please do something for them. So they said we don't have any scheme for them. If their father is in jail, what can we do? You can't expect a 6-year-old, for instance, and a 12-year-old sister to go and fend for themselves. So we prepared a scheme that is a scheme for welfare, education and sustenance of children of incarcerated parents. This is notified in Delhi and I think Haryana has also foster care ke taur pe they have adopted this thing, and now in Nalsa we want to do this. This is one aspect of prison rights. You see, when we talk of prison rights, we should not confine it to prisoner. We should look at what are his concerns outside the prison. And with the acquittal rate of about 70+%, we can understand that this incarceration of a person as an under trial can have very damaging effect, and 4 or 5 years of incarceration as an under trial and then further acquittal. The education of a child studying in 6 is delayed. He will never get that same thing, and the chances of that child coming back to the criminal way of thinking, because that stigmatization is still there. So we created a scheme at that juncture. While I was invited to come here, I was just going through the Nelson Mandela rules as we know them 2015. We must have discussed all those rules. And one of the aspects which I was most concerned about is that in 1979, when the Hussainara Khatun judgment came in, and it was highlighted that people are incarcerated even though they have completed their maximum sentence. This section 436A CRPC was introduced that if you have completed half the sentence, then you should be released on bail. And after this 2005 inclusion, still there were instances where this was not implemented. Maybe our judiciary is to be blamed, maybe the government could not propagate this benevolent provision which was added. And then the concern of was sought to be addressed by Ministry of Home Affairs in 2013 when they issued a notification whereby they created a committee called Under Trial Review Committee. Everybody has heard of it? So why this committee was needed? Why? Who were the initial members? How it evolved further? So I'll invite my colleague Sunil Chauhan. He is a fine judicial officer, and we were together when we drafted an SOP, which we will discuss after a short while. Over to you, Sunil.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to one and all. First of all, before delving into the purpose and the functions, I would like to start from the Rudal Shah case. Rudal Shah was acquitted in the year 1968. Even after acquittal, he remained in the prison for 14 years. In 1982, when he filed a writ petition for habeas corpus, then the Supreme Court saw the matter, saw that 14 years after the acquittal, he remained in the prison, and for the first time, rupees 30,000 was awarded as compensation. State was that paid rupees 30,000 to Rudal Shah. So we do not want the Rudal Shah story to be repeated. That is the main concern of the Under Trial Review Committee. When we see Under Trial Review Committee, it gives the impression that it is confined to under trials only. But this is not so. Primarily, the large parts, core areas, there are 44 areas